with my card making challenge day 2 using the Lawn Fawn Hippo Birdie to You stamp set. The challenge today is to put your sentiment on a banner. First, I'm going to stamp the hippo, the birdie, and his little hat using my Misty stamping tool. This will allow me to line the stamps up without them overlapping. I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink. You'll see that I use that almost all the time for black ink. It's especially good when you're coloring in with Copics or Spectrum Noir markers, as it doesn't bleed. You can see that I stamped the hippo and the birdie twice. I tend to do that most often, especially with the Misty tool. I just find that the image comes out crisper. And then I stamped the birdie's little party hat. And now I'm going to do some coloring with my Copic markers and Spectrum Noir markers. I'm going to speed up the video a little bit here and add some music so you can watch me color. Now I want to die cut out the hippo and the birdie image with these stitched square dies from Simon Says Stamp. But before I do that, I really want to add a grassy border just along the bottom of this square. So I am going to take the Lawn Fawn grassy border die. I'm going to die cut the grass, and then I'm going to place it over my image before I cut with the square. You'll see what I mean in a second. So now I have my grass all cut out, and I want to adhere it down on top of the hippo and the birdie so that I can then go ahead and die cut the square. I'm using my ATG gun, which is my favorite adhesive, just running a line of that behind the border, and then I'm going to line it up so that the hippo is standing in the grass. Then I will take my stitch square and run it through my Big Shot. Now that I have my die cut square, I'm going to carefully punch it out, and then I want to put it on this background sheet of pattern paper I have from a 6x6 paper pad. It's actually from the Dear Lizzie Neapolitan collection, which is a few years old. I want to trim my pattern paper to 4 3/4 by 4 3/4, as my card base is going to be 5 by 5. So I have a 10" by 5" piece of cardstock here, and I'm just going to score it at 5 inches, and then when folded it will be 5 by 5. You can see that trimming the pattern paper leaves a nice white border along the edge. I'm going to put my stamped image square right in the center but towards the top so that I can leave room at the bottom for my sentiment. This is where the challenge comes into play. So I'm going to use one of the banner dies from the Stampin' Up! Project Life die set. I'm going to stamp my sentiment, which is the Hippo Birdie to You, onto some Midnight Muse cardstock, and then I'm going to die cut it with my Big Shot. I want my sentiment to be in heat embossed white on the Midnight Muse cardstock. So first I'm going to use my embossing powder tool and cover my cardstock with the powder. This will hopefully ensure that no stray embossing powder is on my cardstock. Then I will use my Versamark ink and stamp my sentiment. I'm going to use Ranger white embossing powder, and I'm going to cover the stamped sentiment with the powder, shake it off, and then use my heat tool to emboss it. Once I have my sentiment, I'm then going to use that die and punch it out. Now I want the little birdie to be holding a balloon, but you'll see it doesn't quite fit in full on my sheet. So I'm just going to stamp the balloon portion. To do this, I'm going to take some masking tape. This is actually Post-it tape. And I'm going to mask off the balloon string. And now I'll just ink up that balloon portion. Once I have this stamped down, I'm then going to take my Memento Tuxedo Black marker and use the fine point to just draw in the balloon string through the little birdie's wing. Now I just need to color in the balloon. I want it to match the Midnight Muse cardstock I used for my sentiment banner. I do have the matching Midnight Muse marker, but they're a couple of years old and I noticed that it is a little bit dry so that it wasn't giving me a clean image. So I just chose a Spectrum Noir marker that was very similar in color. Once I finish coloring in my balloon, it's time to assemble my card. I'm keeping this a flat card, no foam adhesive, so I'm just using my ATG gun to assemble everything. Once I've finished putting all of the pieces of my card together, the very last thing that I want to do is put a little bit of shine on the balloon just so that it looks a little more realistic. I'm just using a Jelly Roll white pen to do that. And now we have the finished card for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a list of supplies used, please check out the associated blog post linked below. And I hope you have a great weekend.